Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Behind the Small Business Podcast. You are stuck with me once again. My name is Kevin Dandino. I'll be your host today, and this show is brought to you, of course, by Centennial State Insurance Agency. If you are looking for a personal or commercial quote of any kind, reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to get you set up and help you get a quote for whatever you're looking for. Today, we have a fantastic host or a guest on the show, Dana Duffy, who is the owner of Furry Friends Grooming. And, she gets to work with a lot of furry animals and creatures, and I love my dogs. And so I'm sure this can be a fantastic episode to hear about everything that she does with her business. Dana, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's been a good weekend, good weather. I love it. Yep.
That's fantastic. I mean, I know before the podcast we were out there and I saw you were trying to, do the setup outside. I wish we could go outside and set up because the weather really is. If it just wasn't windy, it'd be a great day to record outside. And yes. I know that if I could move my stuff out there as well, I would.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, let's get into it all and kind of go back to your story and your business and, kind of just explain to us, what is Furry Friends Grooming, how to get started, and kind of start from there. So take it away.
Okay. I started grooming in 2012. I actually went to a school in Loveland for grooming.
Awesome.
And commuted every day for 9 weeks. And when I got out, I knew nothing.
Yep.
Or that's how I felt. But so I started grooming for other people, and it really wasn't my thing. It wasn't working out. Working for other people, I wasn't getting the support I needed as a new groomer. So I finally found a shop that I had some support and some encouragement and education. And so I started grooming for her. And then she's like, I'm going to sell my shop. And I'm like, oh, no, you're not. and then so I had some clientele built up there, and I'd been working for her for about a year. And so we scraped and borrowed and begged from everybody we knew, and we bought the business. And that was 2017.
Okay. So you've been around for a while. I mean, in my head, 2017 is like last year.
I know, me too.
People talk about 2005. I'm like, what, like 5 years ago?
Right?
No. Well, that's awesome. So tell me a little bit about the name of Furry Friends. Like, how did you come up with that? What was the reasoning behind it all?
Yeah, originally it was called Deb's Furry Friends, and then my boss bought it and called it Furry Friends. And so I just kept the name. I liked it. I thought it was a good name, and it'd been around a long time. So I just kept the name, and it fits. And we have a lot of different animals go through the shop, not just dogs and cats. So it gets interesting, but it's definitely Furry Friends.
I'm sure. Well, what other animals do you service other than dogs and cats? I'm just curious, like, what's your...
Well, I'm a little adventurous. So I actually have done bird nail trims.
Wow.
I've washed and done nails on guinea pigs. And then just yesterday, I had someone ask if I would brush out their rabbit. So I did. And that was a first for me. But my employees think I'm crazy. But I'll touch just about anything that needs to be groomed and do what I can,
Hey, someone's got to do it. And if it's someone who's passionate and cares about the animals like you do, I mean, that's exactly the type of person I'd want to be handling my dog or pet of any kind. So that's fantastic. I love hearing that. Well, so you've been doing this for a few years as a business owner of sorts.
Yes.
So kind of walk us through the process of what it was like for you to go from just an employee, getting your license for grooming and everything, to taking that leap into wanting to not just work with the animals, but own a grooming company.
Yeah, it was quite scary. We started with 2 employees right off the bat, another groomer and a bather, and just getting them set up properly. The previous owner wasn't straight legal with everybody, so she was more under the table kind of stuff. And we wanted to make sure we were doing what we were supposed to do. So we followed the rules and did all that. And so I have my husband to thank for all the background support. He's amazing. He gives me a ton of support in the back end and just looks up whatever we need to do to be legal and right. And we get it done together. So, and then it was really funny when we first took over the shop. The first thing that happened to us, like within the first week of owning it, the sign outside that said grooming fell off the building.
Oh no.
And we thought, wow, that's an interesting omen. So we got our own sign put up there, and it was kind of cool because we didn't like the sign anyway. So we wanted a new sign. So, it was a little sooner than we anticipated, but it didn't hurt anybody, which was good. And
Exactly.
yeah, we got our new sign put up, which was great. So.
Well, when I start talking to you about some insurance questions later on the podcast, we'll talk about, worried about signs falling off
Right.
and everything. So I'm just kidding, but hopefully that one is there and everything. But yeah, I mean, in a way, like not ideal to happen, but hey, you got your own look and feel to the business up there,
right?
Sooner rather than later. So I guess positive, takeaway.
Yeah, it turned out positive. It did.
But it's a fun story too. Like,
Yeah.
like this is my experience as a business owner. When I first started, this happened. Like, that's just,
right.
It's a story that not everyone has.
Right. Right. And we had a guy in the shop next door had a scooter shop for kids and stuff. And so the teenagers are always running around on their scooters. Mm-hmm. And I thought, that could have been really serious, but it missed everybody.
Yeah, they're really good. Really good to hear. Well, as you've been doing this for, several years now, kind of walk us through any struggles that you faced that may come to mind, any challenges, and kind of how you overcame those just from the situation and the experience you leaned on or the people you had around you, anything like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest thing is growing pains. We blew out of the little shop we were in within 2 years. And so in 2019, we expanded. We moved in the same complex to the next building over, doubled our space size, and that was crazy. It was quite a challenge. We got to design the shop pretty much from the ground up. It had been a chiropractor shop, so the only thing we kept in there was the main front desk. Sure. And then we put everything else in, 3 tubs, and made space for storage and shampoo and an area for the drying that wouldn't be too loud, hopefully, for the rest of the shop. And we were able to use our sign, though, on the back of the building because it was too long for the front side. So we needed another new sign in the front, but that's okay. So now we have a front and a back sign, which is cool. And then COVID happened the following year. So that was crazy. And we were shut down. We were considered non-essential at the first round of shutdowns. Mm-hmm. We relied heavily on our insurance for that because we wanted to pay our employees. They needed something. Sure. As business owners, we didn't get a whole lot out of it ourselves, but we did take care of our employees, kept everybody tied over. And then the second shutdown, we were deemed necessary. So we didn't have to close down, which was really good. It's an important service that we offer for dogs and cats, just so they don't get matted, keep their nails in check, that kind of stuff, and keep them healthy and operating at peak efficiency, Mm-hmm. Yep. So
that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I mean, thinking about my dogs, like I don't mind giving them a bath. I'll try to trim their nails to a certain extent, right? Might have cut one nail a little too short one time and paid the price for it, or actually my dog did, is we had to, stop the bleeding and stuff. And that was like, okay, I'm not trained. I don't know what I'm doing. But yeah, even like cutting my dog's hair, like that's something like I'm not going to try to do, right? That's just I know I'm going to make things worse, or if there's mats and all this other stuff, I don't know what I'm looking for. So, it is a really important service that you all do provide for, people who have pets like me, knowing that, finding somewhere they can take their dog and trust them. Right. Yeah. Had very bad experiences with a certain groomer of a certain large conglomerate that I'm not going to name on here because I don't want us to get in trouble. But, that kind of turned me away from those and looking to the small business owners. And I had really good experiences, in terms of how they treat their clients, not just the people, but the pets. So kind of what's
Yeah.
your philosophy when it comes to, how you engage with the people and then the dogs? Because, dogs, cats, all these animals, they have their own personalities. Some of them are easier to work with than others,
Yes.
So kind of how do you approach that in your business, all the different facets of trying to figure things out,
It's interesting. I spend a lot of time in customer service, so I think I have that pretty much down. I
Okay.
get along with my clients really well. They confide in me. It's interesting. I have a lot of elderly clients, and they come talk to me about whatever's going on, and they trust me because I do take care of their babies. So that's really cool. And I've got a really good team on my side that I've hired over the years. We have 9 employees now,
Okay.
and everybody's just excellent at what they do, and they're great with the people. That's so important because you're dealing with the people first. So
Sure.
the challenge is figuring out exactly what they want done on their pet, because they don't know the lingo, and we have to put it in layman's terms so that they understand, this is what we're talking about lengthwise, or this is what we have to do because the dog is matted, or this, this or that. And but I feel like we do pretty good. I mean, we have a pretty good relationship with all of our clients, so I like that very much. And then the pets, that's a whole nother story. I have we have I had one dog named Denver that was scared to death of the whole grooming process. He needed to be muzzled for everything, and he's no longer with us. He did pass away, but we brought him in, at the end of the day when there weren't other animals there. We got him done. We, just kind of worked through his anxiety as best we could. We did as much as we could. His mom understood we couldn't do everything all the time. And, sometimes we got his nails done and sometimes we didn't.
He was just like, no,
So
not today.
yeah, some days he's there, and some days he's like, no, we're not touching my
Nope.
feet at all. So yeah, and then the cats are a whole nother story. I'm the only one in the salon that does cats.
Okay.
And they call me the cat whisperer, which I think is maybe a little high, but I try to live up to that. um, I do pretty good with the cats. I have one cat that comes in just for a nail trim, and I'm the only one that can touch him. They actually tried to do his nails when I wasn't there one day, and it took 3 people holding him down to get it done. And I just laugh because he's such a sweetheart to me. And I
Sure.
just do him, and he jumps right in the kennel, which is another funny story about cats, because they will jump in the kennel when I'm done with them. The owners, you have to imagine, are running around the house chasing their cats down, trying to stuff them in a kennel. And when I get them, as soon as I'm done, they're like, get me out of here. I'm jumping in that kennel. And I feel so bad for the parents. I'm like, if I don't know, somehow you got to be able to train them to do that. But
Right.
yeah,
Geez. It's their escape. You're like, okay, if I go back in here, my mom or dad will come get me.
I'm
And
done.
it's my safe spot, I guess.
That's
But
right. It's my safe spot. Yep. I
no,
know I'm going home.
I've heard horror stories of people trying to chase down their cats to get them to go to the vet or the groomer. And yeah, I don't have cats for a reason, but not to say that they're not good pets and you have to have the right personality for them. It's just not mine.
Yeah.
But it's
Gotcha.
interesting, because one of my dogs, tons of issues, diabetic, skin allergy, food allergy, mostly blind because of cataracts from the diabetes. We were only able to fix one eye. He's had a ton of ear infections. So he's like there's a lot going on with this dog. And it always means the world to me when I find a groomer, because I moved through the military and stuff. So when I was able to finally find a groomer that was willing to take the time to listen to, okay,
Right.
these are the things that are going on, because I want them to be aware of the situations in case something comes up. So it kind of sounds like you have a very similar mindset of, wanting to really listen and get to know the owner and the animal,
Yes.
understand what you can do to help, make it as painless of an experience as it is for both sides. But it's really good to hear that, somebody is just continuing to be that, let me listen, let me learn, let me do the best I can, not just for the money.
Right. Yeah. We want it to be positive with the animals coming in and when they leave. And some animals are scared coming in, but when they leave, if they're happy, we know we've done a good job. If they're scared when they leave, that means we did something wrong.
Right.
So I want them to be happy when they see their owner and be like, yeah, I got groomed today and look at how good I look. And yeah. So that's how we want it to be.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What does it take? Just kind of curious for, the groomer and to run that business. What kind of certifications do you need to keep up? Is it just like, grooming stuff? Are there any business type of certifications you need to keep up and renew? And kind of how do you handle all of that?
Again, my husband helps me handle most of that, but so we're registered through the state of Colorado, and then we're registered with the city of Lakewood.
Okay.
And then as far as the grooming end of it goes, there really is no certification. So it's interesting. That's why you get groomers that have no idea what they're doing, because there is no basis or no level that they have to reach before they can go out and say, I'm a groomer. So it's interesting. Now, one thing that we do is we have to work with the Department of Agriculture, Colorado Department of Agriculture, through an organization or part of one of their departments called PACFA, which is Pet Animal Care Facilities Act, I believe. Sure. And they inspect us once a year, make sure we're staying sterile, as much as possible, clean, keeping, the kennels and stuff rust free. So I feel like that is a good start, but many states don't require anything like that. And there are many groomers that work out of their homes and stuff that don't follow that don't get the PACFA license.
Yeah.
Or mobile groomers, or, just anybody can just kind of open up. And if PACFA's not aware of them, then, they're going to operate without a license, Sure. So, so that's the biggest thing. And that's a once a year renewal. It's a pretty hefty business expense, but it's worth it.
I'd say so. I mean, to be honest, I didn't know that at all. So I'm kind of glad I asked, because I think for maybe a lot of pet owners out there, I think I kind of assumed any kind of grooming business would have to have some sort of license, to make sure that, they're keeping things clean, again, as much as possible. Things like rust, all of, the facility is being maintained well. Like, all those things are like really important to a pet owner when you're looking for a groomer.
Right.
So it's good that you took that extra step and said, like, no, we're going to like make sure we're doing everything to not just do it for you all, but for the clients. That gives me a huge peace of mind, I would say, compared to all these other places.
Yeah, it's a very important step, I think, to take. And I think eventually nationwide there will be some requirements that'll come about. It's something groomers have talked about for a long time. But as far as skill as a groomer, there's no one that tests you. So, and a lot of it is, learn as you go. And that's what I did. I made a lot of mistakes in the beginning and had a lot of people yelling at me for not very good grooms. And, I cried, but I learned as I went, and I improved and did better. And, I looked for people. I actually hired a gal. She started as a bather for me, and she went to an online grooming school, and she did all of her hands-on work in my salon, and she is an excellent groomer.
Okay.
She's fantastic. And it's really neat to see, the ones that are dedicated and put the work in, what comes out the other side.
For sure. There's got to be a learning curve. And to me, I mean, thinking of trying to groom animals, there's so many different varieties and breeds, and each dog has their own personality, like I said, and their own little things about them that I can't imagine trying to just keep up with, all the different styles and how to do this on that dog, not this on that dog, and whatever the case is. So I'd imagine that it takes a lot of learning and practice. So I would say, look, for anybody out there who's in any kind of situation like this where you have to learn, like it can be really demoralizing. It sounds like, when you're early on and you're getting that negative feedback, and clients are probably the ones that are not happy at all, and you're hearing the earful, right? But to push through that and say that this is my passion, I'm dedicated to this, I'm going to continue to keep learning and growing to get better. So, like I applaud that, in you, because I think a lot of people out there would kind of hit that brick wall and just say, not for me, I'm done. Like, this isn't fun anymore.
Yeah,
So
I
that's
almost
awesome.
did. I almost hung up
Sure. I
my
think that's normal.
scissors because of my bosses. Because I didn't have the support. And a couple places I worked, I was working for people who were non-groomers. And so they didn't have any way to help me,
Right.
but they had great ways of criticizing what I was doing. So
Of
I was
course.
to the point, I was like, this is it. This is the last time. If I find a job and it's like that, I'm done. I'm going to hang up my clippers. And I found, the shop that I did. And then she's like, I'm going to sell it. And I'm like, no, I like it here. You can't do that to me.
No,
So we
sounds like
bought
it
it.
was meant to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's awesome. I just piece of advice for people out there: just keep pushing. If it's
Yep.
your passion, don't give up. Um, so I kind of want to ask you a little bit, what is your take on community involvement? And the reason I ask this is it's something I've asked through all the podcasts so far, pretty much for the most part. And I'm just really intrigued by how every business owner kind of has their own unique take on what it means to be involved in the community. I mean, some people are doing some really awesome collaborations between multiple companies, and they're putting together these big programs, and other places are just having meaningful impacts on a small scale, not on a small scale, but not as broad. You know what I mean?
Right.
But each one seems to have their own personal, unique twist to it. And it's so fascinating to me to hear about all the different things people are doing. So kind of give you a chance to talk about anything that you do in terms of community involvement or networking or anything like that.
Absolutely. So last year we actually got involved with the Molly Dharma Run, which I don't know if you're
Okay.
familiar with that, but it's a
No.
motorcycle ride that they do annually, and they actually sponsor a no-kill rescue or shelter for that year. They choose a new one every year.
Oh, wow.
And so last year we participated. We had a tent there and hung out and brought some stuff for auction and donated and did lots of things like that. So that was fabulous. And we've done little things here and there. We don't do a lot. I like to do things specifically for my clients if I can. I've actually done free grooms on occasion. I work with the Cocker Spaniel Rescue. We do discounted grooms for them. That kind of thing.
That's awesome. That sounds like maybe not a lot, but honestly, it is. To be honest, like there's so many things with shelters and dog pounds, pet, animal pounds, all those places, and it's sad to see just dogs, animals going non-adopted and having to get put down. I keep saying dogs because I have two of them here. So
Right.
No offense to any other pet owners out there. Just replace dog with pet. But to find little things like that's something I haven't heard of, and it sounds like they're doing this for a really good cause. Something that I'd like to see more of, honestly, amongst just the nation, the world, all that stuff. So, I think little things like that, again, finding something that is passionate to you, and then going out there and being a part of it. So major, props to you for that. I think that's fantastic.
Thank you.
What about, let's see, any kind of networking stuff? How do you approach networking? Because again, I know some people are kind of introverted. They're not comfortable with it. Other people are like, I want to meet everyone everywhere. So kind of what's your approach to that?
Yeah, I'm more introverted. This business has helped me to grow past, some of my shyness, but I do a lot of my networking through Facebook. There are some organizations, there's some specific to Colorado that are grooming related, and some nationwide, some worldwide. So I do a lot of networking through those, and I've met a lot of great people. It's interesting because pet grooming is a lot like hair salons in that there seems to be a lot of drama between not only between salons, but with employees. And I'm lucky I have some great employees. I don't have a lot of drama in my shop, and I love that. But I have dealt with that in the past. But yeah, so my feeling on the whole thing is if you're trying to make yourself better and you're working a salon, if I have extra clients, I don't mind referring them out. If I find a good business that, really wants to grow or whatever, I want to support that mentality of, you're doing it, I'm doing it, let's grow together. I think that's very important. I think that's big, but in the grooming community, we tend to tear each other apart more than we build each other up.
Interesting. So, I mean,
Yeah.
interesting that, you said that's kind of the community in a large sense. But what you said is the same kind of theme that I'm hearing from every single one of these very successful business owners. And it's that we want to build each other up. Yes, there's healthy competition, right? Yes, you want to be the best at your job. Yes, you want to be the best grooming salon in Loveland or the greater Denver area, whatever, Colorado, and that's great. But, it's really good to build each other up. It gives you those opportunities of, hey, I'm too busy, but go help out here, go visit this guy down here. I know him, I trust him. He'll do a great job with your pet. And help them out too, because they might be a newer business or whatever. And you never know when that's going to come back to you. You know what I mean? So that is, I haven't met a business owner yet who said, nope, I don't like talking to any other business owners that are in my field. They are all my enemies. I am, it's me against them. I haven't heard it yet. And if I do, I'm going to really dig down and be like, okay, like this is abnormal. But it seems like building that network is such a common thread. It's got to be really integral, I think, to finding that sustained success, at least a part of it.
Right. I agree. I think that's important. And we had a tragedy in our family a couple years ago, and I needed to take some time off of work, and we got so much help from the community, the grooming community, and it was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's something else I didn't even think of. Like, what if you're out of the game for a little bit for any number of reasons, and your clients are like, well, where do I go? Do you want to say, well, I don't know, good luck finding someone else? Or hey, there's this person, there's this person, there's this person. They'll help you out. They'll take care of you. I trust them. I know them. So it's just like a win-win for everybody.
Difference. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, that's kind of topic I want to bring up here. And I know it's not a fun part of any business owner, job and what they do in a day-to-day life, but because not only is it sponsored by Centennial State Insurance Agency, but I'm an insurance agent myself. So I like to hear about like what goes through your mind as a business owner when you hear insurance. What are some of the concerns you have? Because I think it's really good for me and anybody else in the insurance industry, or, when you're trying to learn about these business owners and the businesses you're trying to write business for, I can't pretend that I know. I'm not a business owner. So to hear it from the horse's mouth, if you will, no pun intended, being your groomer and everything, so what is it like in your mind when you think of insurance? What are some of the concerns you have, and how do you approach that?
Well, my biggest thing is, am I covered? So like the sign fell off the building right after we bought it. And I think, I'm trying to remember if we had our insurance in place at that time. I think it was a couple days out. So we ended up paying cash for that. We had to come up with the money out of our pocket. And we made sure when we moved to the new salon or put up our new sign that was part of what was covered under our insurance. We had a couple years ago, we had someone drive their car into the back of the building and crash into the gas lines. And so we were shut down. We didn't have hot water. And so we were shut down.
For grooming.
Yeah. And we were shut down for a month. So again, where were we worried about the insurance? Well, first of all, was it going to cover any damages, which we didn't really have any in our salon. It happened right next door, but because it was our gas line, as part of, well, the whole building gas line, we had to make sure that we got not only our particular one covered and replaced, so we had to make sure that our employees were taken care of. That was another thing, loss of income. And so we wanted to make sure that that was covered. Not a day goes by that I don't think about workman's comp insurance, because we are dealing with live animals that sometimes get dangerous. Yeah. And that's a big deal to me. Safety in my salon is huge. And I want to keep my people covered, and I want to keep them safe so we don't have to pay out that. But if we do, we need it. We want it.
Right.
Those are the big things that come. Yeah.
No, I think that, one, you have some interesting stories to kind of back it up. But I kind of want to ask you, like, when it comes to finding an insurance agency or insurance agent, what's important to you as a business owner? What are you looking for there too?
I'm looking for someone who's professional but friendly. I think that our current agent just actually works with us in our home as well. And so we know that person, and we were able to, we have a relationship. I think that's important, building a relationship and being able to say, hey, something isn't right here. I need to look at my coverages and tweak something, or, is this covered? Because this is something that kind of came up out of the blue. There's a lot of weird things that happen in grooming, and, theft of our equipment, that happens to groomers quite a bit. And it blows me away in the field that people don't have insurance to cover that. Yeah. And I'm like, that's expensive stuff. So, the clippers and all that stuff add up, and they sell it out there. And yeah, it's something you don't really think about, but yeah, it's something you need to think about. Yeah.
And so the reason I asked this question to so many people is because, again, I'm trying to combat those commercials you see of, you log in here or download this app, and in 3 minutes you'll have a quote. And it's like, okay. And the reason I mentioned those kinds of things, because obviously it's working well enough that they're making enough money,
right,
to be able to make a commercial, but that just is really putting people in a bad position of, if something happens, are they really going to be covered by the fly-by-night coverage? And so, again, something that I hear a lot of long-term or just sustained business owners talk about is knowing their agent, knowing that there's somebody that they trust, they can reach out to directly. I haven't had anyone yet saying, oh yeah, I love my company that I call, and somebody in India or someone answers and I don't know who they are, but I love it. That's not a thing.
Right.
So, having that relationship with those people that are supporting and it's not just in insurance, all the different facets of things that need to support your business, and knowing the people and building that relationship and the trust is such a fundamental, I think, thing to finding success.
Absolutely.
It needs to be mentioned. So,
yeah.
Okay. Well, Dana, I do appreciate you taking time today and kind of sharing your stories and your experiences. I definitely want to give you a little bit of time here at the end to kind of let everybody know how they can find you, how they can contact you, anything else you want them to know about you and your business, and all the furry friends you have running around there.
Great. So we are Furry Friends Grooming in Lakewood, not to be confused with the Furry Friends in Colorado Springs.
Perfect.
But yeah, we deal with dogs and cats primarily. If you have a guinea pig that needs a nail trim, call Dana. I'll work it out for you. But yeah, we're right off of Hamden and Wadsworth.
Okay.
And so we're conveniently located right off the highway. We service people from Bailey to Evergreen to Commerce City. We have some people that have moved out of town, and they still drive to us. So I think that says a lot for our business, and I think that we're happy to get new clients, and we're definitely happy to work with you and give you the best grooming that we can.
I love it.
Best
That's
experience.
perfect.
Yep.
It's perfect. Well, everyone, if you have a furry friend and you're needing some grooming, definitely give Dana a call over at Furry Friends, 720-328-2123. And sounds like you're going to have a great experience. So check them out. With that being said, guys, again, thank you very much for tuning in to another episode of Behind the Small Business Podcast. Again, brought to you by Centennial State Insurance Agency. Open invitation to all business owners out there. If you are a business owner yourself or know of a business owner that would like to come on the podcast, share their story, their experiences, and get a little free publicity about their company, let them know or reach out to us on our Facebook page, either through the podcast page or the Centennial State Insurance Agency page. Be more than happy to get you set up with a time and get you on a future podcast. With that being said, we're going to sign off today, and we will see you next time on Behind the Small Business. Take care, everyone.